Michael Borresen from Audio Group Denmark, as well as Kenny from Audio Maestro in Singapore. We are at the High-End Asia, located at Suntec City. The show has not started yet, we're starting tomorrow, but now we're having a sneak preview at what's going to be at the show. All right, so Michael, what have you brought?
Yeah, thank you. Well, actually, Kenny brought it because he bought it. So it's Kenny's equipment here. But I'm here to help and support and tell a little bit about the products that we are exhibiting here in the Suntec. We have the M3 speakers, and they are aided then by the BBM, Børresen bass modules. And I will talk a little bit about the bass module, what they are all about, and why we made them. Many years ago, when I was in university, I built very big ribbon panel type speakers, apogee, full range speakers like that. And I really liked the bass out of these big panels. Maybe because they were dipoles. And there were things I didn't understand then, I understand now. That dipoles have a tendency to cancel what's behind them, because the pressure comes from the backside to the front side. And that means that essentially there's a line here where the bass modules are, everything behind is dead silent. And that means that any issues with room resonances, room boom, etc., it just goes away, it disappears. And that's the big benefit. Now, dipoles in traditional shape, where the drivers tend to become very big. This is more of a compact size and works as a folded dipole, where the middle, the air shoots out this way quite narrowly and hits the listener with the impact and the slam. And then it's more diffused here in the backside, but it cancels around where the drivers are. So there's no pressure coming from the rear side to the front side of this, and it simply cancels the room, and it's the most effective room correction thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's run and crossed over by a built-in crossover here in the I-188, but there's also built-in crossovers here, so if audience or buyers or our clients don't really use our amplifiers, they can still use it and run it and get all the benefits of this room cancellation. So a pair of big Wilsons, they will all benefit greatly from having subwoofers, which are not really subwoofers of this quality. There's 4 8-inch drivers in here, so the driver area is quite big actually, and that means that it can move a lot of air.
Maybe I can show from the back.
Of course, you're welcome to show from the back side how this is configured, how this is set up.
Yeah.
So you see the 4 drivers there, and this is the back side of the membrane, pumping air out this way, and the front side is then pumping air out that way.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a kidney shape. It's a broader kidney shape here in the back because of a bigger area than in the front. So essentially there's 4 8-inch bass drivers, and they push the air into this slot. So it's a slot-loaded dipole or folded dipole in its by nature. So it resembles the big dipoles I used to make as a student, but more compact. And because you have the drivers rather than this thin, big membrane, you also have some stroke, so it really has the capability of moving quite a lot of air.
And the construction is carbon fiber?
There's reinforcements of carbon fiber on it. The driver are carbon fiber. The membranes are 2 layers of spread toe over a 5 mm core, creating a very stiff but very light. And because the way the subwoofers are set up and run and filtered, they are not moving a lot of mass. It's not a heavy membrane. They are not forcing a spring inside a chamber or resonance in the bass reflex. They're just open baffles, so they move very easily. So the built-in amplifier has a very easy job of creating high SPLs with it.
And talking about the built-in amplifier.
Yeah, it's a 300 watt. We have a cooperation with a Danish company called Pascal, and we use their modules. We use them over there in the 588, and we use them here in the subwoofers as well. Yeah, we have here the streamer DAC. I would like to talk a little bit about the streamer DAC as well. And we have an integrated amplifier. I would also like to talk a little bit about that. But if we take here the streamer DAC, we used to play CDs. Then we started streaming and found that streaming data is actually better than CD, less error prone. And we should be very happy that Philips and Sony together developed the CD player many, many years ago. Because if they had not done that, we would not have any music left. Because analog formats, tapes cannot store for the end of time. So all we have now, all libraries we have are digital libraries. And when you stream, you're as close to the original digital libraries as you can possibly get. So in that respect, we are as close to the source data as we can be when we stream. Now, CDs were developed in a time where this reading a disc had a certain element of uncertainty to it. We did not always get the correct data, but they made it very wise. So you have checksums and you have a lot of things. So the data package you get in the PCM data, the 16-bit, you can control them to check if they're correct or not. You can read again, you can error correct. You have a lot of options with that. And with streaming, it's the same. You stream the PCM data, you receive them, you check them. Are they okay, or should I read again? And that means that you have time to verify that the data you get are correct. But PCM by nature is a very bad format to do the digital to analog conversion, because it involves switching. So you have these R2R and these ladder DACs, and it is I pump a value into a set of resistors or a set of switches with resistors, and an open sum and close sum, and that gives me a number, the 16-bit number. So I open so much, I get that number, and that then comes an analog. But in every switching, there are two elements that can go wrong. There's always a ramping up time. You cannot have full signal immediately. It takes time to build up. But there's also a little bit of overshoot. So in all switching, there's inherent noise. So what we do here is that instead of putting it into a ladder DAC, we simply convert it to DSD 512. And that has the signal built in, because you can just look at an average. You can sum it up of an average of 64 samples, and then have this average moving all along, and out of that you get an average that changes every 1 to a 22.5 million. It changes 22.5 million times a second. So you don't have any switching noise in that. So it becomes very analog, the way the digital to analog conversion becomes very analog, because you use an integrator and not a switch. And that way, we are not the first that do this. Lampsinator do that also. And I think I think Lampsinator was the icebreaker to that. I think there are many other doing something similar, but we use a FPGA and convert everything to DSD 512, and then take a summation of that instead of an integration. And that way we get a very analog way, and that way we cure the digital disease. Because what we had in the early 80s when the CD were coming out, late 80s maybe, late 80s, when the CD were coming out, they say it's perfect. Yes, the data and the reading and all that is as close to perfection as we can get with the data we have, but the D2A was not very perfect. So the first CD sounded horrific. And then there was a quest of making better and better and better DAC chips, but they all relied on the same principle, the ladder DACs. And you see a lot of DAC manufacturers still going for the ladder DACs being the cleanest and the purest, but it's wrong, because they cannot get the switching out. They do the switching right in the signal path. And it is for me, it's This is a clear variation in terms of D to A. This one is an integrated amplifier. It's 200 watt, and it runs Class A. And it runs Class A all the way. It's not like Class AB, 10 watts Class A is the rest. But there's no such thing as Class AB. It's either you're Class A and non-switching, or you're switching, and then it's Class B. So these amplifiers that tells that they are Class AB, for me, it doesn't work that way. Electronics doesn't work that way. Either you switch or you don't switch. Here we don't switch, and we keep them in Class A, and we do that by running a very, very high bias. The transistor needs 0.6 volts between the base and the emitter to stay open. And these 0.6 volts needs to be there regardless how much of the current in the bias circuit is run through the transistors out here. Transistors are leaky, so they need base current in order to open up. And the more they need to open to allow more current or higher signal going to the speaker, then some of the current that goes to keep the spread disappears. And typically you have a resistor here, and when current goes out of the resistor, the voltage over it drops and drops and drops until it cannot sustain these 0.6 volts to keep the transistor open. Here we have put in an element that keeps it almost open and only have a little bit of resistance built into that circuit. And that means that even if we, out of the 120 milliamp, take 5 or take 10, we still have enough to keep the transistors open regardless how much power the speaker asks for.
Sorry. So this one will be 200 watts?
This is 200 watt per channel, Class A.
Class A.
Yeah.
And I see in this setup now we have the active crossover setup to connect to the...
Yeah, we have in this an analog crossover, and that's also one reason why these integrate so well, and they do all the things that you experienced before. Improve the clarity of the overall and the scale and the size of the image. This was never possible if we had this DSP based, because DSP has a delay, some up to 20 milliseconds, others a little bit less, but they always have a little bit delay, and that means that you can never time. It's impossible to time. Even a few milliseconds is meters. It's a long distance. Sound travels pretty fast. So here you have both the low pass frequency and you have the low pass level. So you can turn the subwoofers up and down so that fits the environment and the speakers you're using. It's the same crossover that's built in here. The internal crossover can do the same, but with that you need to get on your knees twice to adjust.
Yeah, and it's available by remote, right?
There's no remote for this.
Ah, I see.
Oh no. The remote you get when you use our amplifiers.
Ah, I see. So just now I had a test. It was very impressive. We did the AB without the bass modules. When with the bass modules, the whole sound stage just opened up by easily 30%, much bigger, and surprisingly even the highs really improved as well. So
I think that music, we listen in transients. So when we get cohesion between the deepest frequencies and the top frequencies, everything just falls into place and becomes easier to listen to.
All right. So I'll show the viewers on the other side as well.
Yes.
Go over there and
yes.
see what's
Let's have a chat about that system as well.
Okay.
So this is a new 188 series of products we have. So we have an integrated amp. We have a streamer DAC. And we have a power amp. And this streamer DAC shares all the technology from the 880. So it's a scaled down version of that. I think that this is a standout product for the price and can easily compare to something that's many times more expensive. It's a really good entry level into our streamer DACs. This integrated amp also has the built-in crossover. So here you run the system bi-amped
I'm just curious, does this have the Tesla coils technology?
Yes. Every single product we have has the Tesla coil technology.
Okay.
Because the damping of high frequency noise coming in from our universe, so to speak, our Wi-Fi, our 5G, all this creates a shitload of airborne high frequency disturbance that amplifiers like to pick up, and we try to combat that. Also, we connect to the internet, and when we connect to the internet, we connect to the wide world of noise as well. So we get a lot of noise coming in that way. So it is quite. So it is quite important to do that, and this Tesla coil technology originates from maritime communication technology, where when you have a VHF radio, it was important, or is important, that you can listen as far away as and deep into the noise floor as possible. So by having mechanisms to dampen the sidebands, it's easier when you can get the carrier more clean. It's easier to hear what people talk about at a long distance. So that technology is adapted for our products. We use them a lot of places. We use them in the power distribution. We use them in our switches. We use them inside the speakers. Because another part of that is that every cable is sort of like an antenna. And by using Tesla coil technology around the cables, you can avoid them being good antennas. And that means they pick up less noise.
So are they like filters? Or?
Yeah, you can say it's a filter, but it's not really a filter. What it is a coil, and it's wound, and inside there's another coil wound in the opposite direction. They are connected, but only in one end. They are connected and connected. So when you have a transient spike on the net, it builds up a magnetic field inside this coil. But the magnetic field goes into something that's directed the opposite direction. So the spike through the magnetism creates a counter spike. And that way you can take some of this noise spikes away or round them off. And that way they can dampen noise that is picked up and prevent a cable from being a good antenna.
Okay, interesting. All right, so thanks for showing me around.
You're welcome.
I look forward to a good show
Yeah.
tomorrow. And
exactly.
Kenny, anything else? Okay, all right, see you.
See you. Thank you.